First time I ever saw John Lennon, he got on the bus. Always managed to be a little bit older than me. I never caught up. So he was like this sort of slightly older guy with a sort of rocker hairdo, lots of grease, black jacket, sideburns, sideboards as we called them. Burns was American. And I just remember thinking, well, he's a cool guy. No idea who he is. What would happen was when I would talk to people, they'd sort of say, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Da, da, da. And inevitably I'd say, man, I've written a couple of songs. And they'd go, oh. And we'd pass that by and we'd carry on a conversation. When I met John, he said, oh, so have I. John's persona was very guarded, hopelessly guarded. That was where all his wit came from. It was, like so many comedians, it's to shield themselves against the world, And John, having had this very difficult upbringing where his father leaves home, then his uncle dies, and then his mother gets killed. By the time I knew him, he could be very sarcastic, but we all could. There would often be a very witty put-down. It wouldn't always be a put-down, but it was always a quick answer. And he trained himself to do that. It was kind of obvious and that was one of the attractive things about him. John and I hitchhiked a lot. It was the kind of way to get a holiday. You just head out. We'd always take our guitars. From Liverpool, you go south. The beaches are south. John and I got down to Ryde on the Isle of Wight, where my cousin Betty and her husband Mike were running a pub. They were very showbiz, and their kids all are. Great little family. We went down there, and it was great, really, because I was sort of showing John part of my world. It was very cute, because we were kind of young guys. So still teenagers. We'd play our guitars, they'd love to hear us play. He was a very funny guy and musical. He'd been in a sort of an a cappella singing group with Zoot Suits called, I think, the Jones Boys. And we listened to them on the radio once. And our whole family tuned in, Mm-hmm. I collected clippings of them. It was very cute to now think of me and John in a bed, top and tail, and Betty and Mike coming in to tuck us in. It was so sweet, so sort of innocent. That was one of the good things about writing with John. He would often come in from another angle. So if I'm doing a song, it's getting better all the time. John might easily say it couldn't get no worse, which immediately opens the song right up. Okay. And that was one of the things I loved about working with him. He could have said it's getting better all the time. Yes, indeed it is. Why can't men say I love you to each other? I don't think it's quite as true now, but I think certainly when we were growing up, you had to be gay for a man to say that to another man. So, that bred a little bit of cynicism. If you ever were talking about anything soppy, then the next thing would be someone would have to make a joke of it, just to ease the embarrassment in the room. My dad wasn't like that, but that was the attitude, that you don't cry. Male people do not cry. Whereas I think now it's acknowledged that it's a perfectly good thing to do. And I say, well, God wouldn't have given us tears if he didn't mean us to cry. So then it was like, let me hear what you've done, and I'll show you what I've done. So that started us getting together. I was possibly the first person he'd met who'd said that to him. And so that was the start of our relationship. We decided to get together. Normally at my house, my dad always left his pipe in the drawer. So we would take tea, fill the pipe with it and smoke it, tune up, have a ciggy, cup of tea, start playing some stuff, look for an idea. Nearly all of it was two guitars. And the joy of that was that I was left-handed, he was right-handed. So I was looking in a mirror and he was looking in a mirror. Now I'm conscious that I don't have him. And, often we'll sort of refer, well, John is sort of, this is too soppy. He would have said, no, so I'll change it. If anyone sort of asked me what was it like to work with John, the fact was it was easier. There were two minds at work. And that interplay was nothing short of miraculous. And I remember him saying to me, I worry about how people are going to remember me when I die. And it kind of shocked me. I said, okay, hold on, just hold it right there. People are going to think you were great. You've already done enough work to demonstrate that. So I was like, I was like his priest often. I'd have to say, my son, you're great. Don't worry about it, whatever. And he would take it. It would make him feel better.
He was shot late this evening in front of his apartment building in New York City.
And I was in what is now my recording studio in Sussex. It was just a little house. There was a little room upstairs that was bare, wooden planks and bare walls. And I had my guitar with me, so I just sat there and wrote this. When I thought of Here Today, I will have thought of it as Here Today, Gone Tomorrow. But I immediately just dropped Gone Tomorrow. I knew I didn't want that. And I knew the bit I wanted was this front bit. To have a conversation with him in a song was some form of solace. Somehow I was with him again. And people come to my shows, and I do this just me and a guitar. And I'm all stuck in the middle of a great big arena with all these people. And people tell me, they look around, there's a lot of people crying. And I think, because it is a very sentimental, nostalgic, emotional song.